Hello everyone, Fred here. In this installment of TPP Dynamite, I'm going to be explaining why Disney Marvel just cannot seem to do right by Captain America Brave New World. First things first though, if you haven't already, let me encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I post film, book, and TV series reviews. I do opinion pieces on entertainment, news, and affairs. I'm also an author of adult and young adult mystery novels. I just released a new short mystery called The Intruder. There's a link to it in my video description below, and I encourage you to check it out as well. With that in mind, and without further ado, I'm going to just jump right into it. So I was inspired to make this video after hearing reports that Julius Ona, the original director of Captain America Brave New World, has been fired from that movie by Disney Marvel, and this in the wake of the recent news that Captain America Brave New World will be undergoing, wait for it, yet another round of reshoots. This batch set to last between 4 to 6 weeks in the hopes of still getting the movie out in time for its intended February 2025 release. There's a good chance that this latest round of reshoots is happening because of still poor recent test screenings of the film, but this will be the third to fifth round of reshoots on this movie following a near total rewrite of the film's script. I recently did a short a while ago where I talked about why this movie keeps underperforming with test audiences, but being that I know the exact reason why Disney Marvel keeps having so many problems with getting Captain America Brave New World right, and being that Disney Marvel itself seems incapable of learning the lesson even after about 4 years of working on this movie, I decided to make a longer form video in which I go over it again and break it down into plain English. And I'll just have to hope that Kevin Feige and the other executives over there at Disney Marvel manage to find this video, listen to it twice for good measure, then add it to their favorites for in case they forget. Ready? Here goes. Captain America Brave New World has continued to fail so spectacularly in execution with audiences and test screening because of the director and the screenwriters. The director, Julius Ona, who I just mentioned earlier, has a mid to poor track record that doesn't include anything remotely indicative of his readiness to direct a blockbuster movie like Captain America Brave New World. He's directed, written, and or produced a grand total of 5 movies, including this one, none of which are worth remembering, none of which were hits with critics or fans, all of which got lackluster reception. Honestly, the only thing he brings to the table here are the facts that he's a person of color and that he's of foreign heritage, and there's a good chance that that's a major part of why Disney Marvel hired him in the first place. The company's recent and infamous open secret mandate to abide by DEI protocols in making all or nearly all of its TV, film, and streaming content, particularly with regards to the MCU for some reason. The screenwriters, Malcolm Spellman, Dallin Mooson, and Matthew Orton, all have equally underwhelming track records and very limited experience. Not one of the few projects they've written or produced has drawn widespread acclaim with critics or audiences. In fact, I'd wager that most people haven't even heard of most of their projects. Plus, Malcolm and Dallin were both heavily involved in the majorly disappointing Falcon and the Winter Soldier streaming series. You remember the one where Falcon gave up the mantle of Captain America for no reason and took it back up just because the story needed to end with his doing so. The one where he praised a murdering terrorist organization on national television while disrespecting the United States government for wanting to give people who returned after Thanos' snap their homes back. The one where his main superpower was being black and where the government's replacement Captain America was evil just because he was white and just because he killed one of the murdering terrorists from the organization that Falcon praised on national television. Yeah, that's the show that both of these men were largely responsible for creating. And listen, this isn't personal. I have got zero personal disrespect for all of these guys, the screenwriters and the director. They've written for and produced and directed many more films and shows than I have. And if I ever met them, I'd love to buy them maybe a friendly shawarma meal and perhaps talk about some of their experiences working with a beloved character like Captain America. But this is a question of experience and talent. and the fact stands that there is no way that any of those men should have been put in charge of directing or writing for any major MCU film, much less the fourth solo Captain America film. The fourth film and arguably the most critically and financially successful series of solo superhero films in the entire MCU. Because none of them has demonstrated the talent or the experience to justify that sort of move. No, what Disney Marvel should have done is gotten the Russo brothers to direct this movie, as well as Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely to write it. If those names sound familiar to you, then it's because they were the writers and directors on Captain America the Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. These were the men who turned Captain America into a household name as well as a billion-dollar franchise. These were the men who wrote Falcon into the MCU in the first place and orchestrated the scene where Steve Rogers even gives Sam Wilson the shield to pass on the mantle in the first place. These men understand the character of Falcon and his story probably better than even the actor who plays him. Ergo, these men should have been given charge of telling the story of Falcon's first true feature film outing as Captain America. It's the same logic behind why Warner Brothers hired James Gunn as opposed to, let's say, Zack Snyder to write and direct the show Peacemaker after James Gunn wrote and directed the character of Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad, because James Gunn understood Peacemaker better than Zack Snyder would. That's why Disney Marvel can't seem to get Captain America Brave New World quite right, and that's why I don't think they're going to before this movie comes out next February. The screenwriters and the director. At any rate, that's just my opinion, though I do think it's right on target and that the facts back me up. Let me know yours. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Are your feelings more complex? Sound off in the comments section below. Meanwhile, if you liked this video and made it this far, don't forget to leave a like, click subscribe, ring that bell, and hey, follow me on social media as well. So long.